Hey everybody, welcome into the First Issue Club. Usually, we're the weekly podcast that covers first issues of the week. But today, we're doing something a little differently. We have joined forces with 7 podcasts from across the country to do a special summer event called Unite the 7. Now, what is Unite the 7, you may ask? Well, each of the 7 podcasts that we have joined forces with, if you will, has picked or selected a member of the Justice League to do a little bit of a deep dive into, and deep dive's a fun pun for us because we at the First Issue Club have selected none other than our famous and favorite aquatic hero, Aquaman.
Hey, if you're going to draw straws for which Justice League member you get, oh man, Aquaman's the one you want, right?
Oh yeah, it was hard to draft him.
It's the most, honestly, it's the most recognizable with the least commitment. I shudder. Some of our friends on the podcast have selected Superman and Batman, respectively. Fuck that.
No thanks.
Oh yeah,
That is a lot of knowledge to get through.
that's a year of your life gone.
In a short amount of time. We're going to be hard-pressed to keep this under an hour. I can imagine Batman and Superman episodes are no less than a week long.
Ugh.
So we're going to get into Aquaman here pretty soon. But first of all, I want to introduce ourselves to any potential new listeners and kind of tell you what our show typically is, which is we every week get together, me, myself, Greg Lichtai, Mike D, Budget King,
Yes.
and Caitlin, who isn't here right now. We get together and talk about the first issues of the week that have come out and kind of walk through them together, read them, discuss them, and kind of just analyze them and see if they're not good or bad, just what they are.
We talk about them as reference points to enter the whole entire industry conversation.
Exactly. How they fit in the zeitgeist of comic books. And so that's what we typically do. And if you enjoy that, and if you enjoy our humor right now, come back again next week. We'll be talking about first issues. But right now, Aquaman. But before we get into Aquaman, is it upsetting you that I'm saying Aquaman?
It is. It's like you're about to say Aquafina Man.
Okay, so I'll go back to Aquaman. So Aquaman, what was your first introduction to Aquaman before we get into the nitty-gritty of the character? Mike D, hit us off.
But I've been reading comics since I was a wee lad, and Aquaman was never a guy who interested me. I was introduced to him through just Justice League comics in bargain bins.
Right.
And I knew he could talk to fish, and that's about still where my knowledge lies. So I'm taking my approach to this podcast as a learning experience. You're going to be sharpening my knowledge knife to what his deal is throughout this episode, I think.
I brought my learning whetstone, so your knife will be sharp by the end of this episode.
Proxy for the audience, and I'll give you a grade at the end of the episode.
Hey,
on
all
how
right.
well you did educating me.
That's the main thing I want in my life. Every day, at the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I would love a grade. Just to show up somewhere, maybe in an email that say, Greg, today you got a B minus.
Yeah. Your average would probably be B's.
I would say I'm a pretty B human.
That's good though. On the average to be in in that range.
Yeah. That's how my main thing in high school was if I just get D's, I can still pass high school.
Yeah, you'll still get out.
So, but I feel like I'm a B human being.
My intro into Aquaman was similar. It was those grab bags in the 90s that you could just get like a bunch of comics that I was a sucker for.
Yeah.
I'd always get a couple Aquamans in there and be
the
like...
comics people were trying to get rid of.
Yes, exactly.
That were too many were made.
Yeah. That and like, random Wildcats comics, which I was excited to get.
Sure.
But Aquaman, I would always be like, and toss away. Although I was really into marine biology life, so I would often like redraw them and stuff. But read them, my eyes never looked at a letter on Aquaman because it was holistically unengaging. And even at the time, although I didn't have the lexicon,
holistically unengaging,
didn't have the lexicon to describe it, it looked like the whitest white bread served up on a comic that I could imagine.
It was definitely like not a book that was enticing to children. You know what I mean? Because Batman and Superman have these iconic looks. They have these iconic heroes. And then Aquaman was just like, I don't know, the thinking man's
like it's like
comic book?
It's like he fell off a yacht and then had to defend the ocean.
Yeah, it's like it's a hard thing to wrap your mind around. I just remember the Super Friends where he was like always riding a giant seahorse and was just kind of like the butt of every joke. And like that's kind of like what his legacy had become for a while. Like he was just like known as the white guy who could talk to fish. And so like his legacy kind of suffered. But really, my first introduction to Aquaman was I remember going to a comic book shop and seeing him in a full beard and like a hook for a hand instead of like his regular hand. And that was like the first time I really noticed Aquaman and was just like, holy shit, what the hell's going on with Aquaman? He's going through some shit. And then even then, I didn't even read it like enough to give a shit about it. I think I picked up the first issue or an issue with it, and I was like, oh, this is weird. And then I just went on to Spider-Man because that was like more what my little kid mind was wrapped around.
Yeah.
I don't even really know if there are Aquaman stands.
That's a take we were gonna have. Is like I can think of a stand for every single Justice League member, even like Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
Aquaman, I'm just like, unless the event revolves around Aquaman, I don't know of fans of Aquaman. Like he's a fun one to have like little deep cut knowledges about Aqualad in the 80s and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I've never met an Aquaman fan, which is why I think people were so delightfully surprised by the Jason Momoa film, because they were like, sure. And then it was like kind of good.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, I liked him in Game of Thrones. And like that movie was like not bad. It was like Little Mermaid for superheroes. And people liked it.
I'll say this, like getting to know Aquaman more through this like episode, like I'm surprised Aquaman fans weren't more pissed off from the 2018 Jason Momoa movie
because it was kind so far separated from the character.
It is such a bastardization of like what the character is.
Hey everybody, so we're doing this Aquaman thing here, this extra special Aquaman episode, and not only are we covering the 80th anniversary book, but we also, we got a little something special for this episode. Yep, you guessed it, we scored an actual interview with Arthur Curry himself, the Aquaman. So if you can hang on a second, we're actually going to zoom him in right now, and we're going to interview Aquaman, okay? So hang on. Oh my. Okay. Well, that was unplanned. It sounded as if Aquaman may have drowned in an attempt to take his Zoom call underwater. Well, this pandemic has been hard on a lot of us, I guess. So, I guess that can be expected. Well, the show must go on, and I don't want to leave you hanging. So, just in the essence of exclusivity, I just wanted to say that this is Budget King, and I purchased an IMDb Pro account for the First Issue Club, to do some of my pre-interview tactics on Aquaman and to get some of the scoops. And I know that a lot of you haven't quite ponied up yet for that Pro IMDb account. So I just thought I could maybe share some rare facts about Aquaman that we have a version of exclusivity to. Let's go ahead and just take a gander. Let me just go look in my premium access article file. Oh, here's one. It's actually called A Deep Dive with Aquaman. Oh, that's funny. 10 facts about America's most beloved superhero. Oh, great. This is perfect. Okay, so we're not all is lost. We didn't quite have the interview we were looking for. We've got these 10 facts, so let's just check it out real quick. So I'm just going to kind of read through them really quickly so that you get an update about Aquaman and know a little bit more. I know that's why you came here, to just kind of find out more about Aquaman. So it seems as if Aquaman, this is the first one, it seems as if Aquaman was the first Justice League member to take the Lord's name in vain, which I guess makes sense since Poseidon is the only god Aquaman likely holds in any holy reverence. So, okay, cool. Interesting fact. Number 2, it appears Aquaman was first played by LL Cool J in the movie The Deep Blue Sea. Okay, cool. I didn't even know that was Aquaman in that movie. Interesting. 3, okay, it seems as if both Jerry Garcia and Jerry Seinfeld were named after Aquaman's butler, Jerry. Weird on two accounts. One, I didn't know the Garcias and the Seinfelds were such king of the seven sea heads. Also, I was unaware Aquaman had a butler, much less that his name was Jerry, I guess. So, okay, cool. On to number 4. The film Jerry Maguire has nothing to do with Aquaman's butler, Jerry Maguire. The name was just a coincidence. Oh, okay. So wow. His last name is Maguire. I didn't know that. And no relation to the movie. Interesting. Okay. Number 5. Aquaman was for a short stint a sports agent for the Miami Dolphins. Okay. He was later fired because of his insistence on needing to pay the players he managed with, quote, long lost coins of Atlantis. Dan Marino is actually quoted saying, "It wasn't that we didn't want the rare coins. He was more so fired because of his misunderstanding of the player-agent relationship and his insistence on trying to pay the players with his own legal tender. He never quit. He never quite knew who was supposed to show who the money." Wow. Okay. What an interesting wealth of knowledge this IMDb premium account is. They even have primary sources to back up their claims. Man, this is some exclusivity stuff that you really only get on First Issue Club. So I'm glad that we found this list here. Number 6, I can't wait for this. Here it says, okay, Aquaman was once asked to replace Bill Cosby in the Jell-O ads. Oh God. When he left and asked if he could change the franchise phrase to "You had me at Jell-O." Huh. Okay. It actually doesn't say if he took the job or not. I assumed he declined out of sheer confusion, because frankly, nothing about that request makes any sense. All right. Well, anyway, number 7, it appears Aquaman once joined a cult and paid Katie Holmes $50 million to stage a fake relationship with him. Oh, okay. The spicy stuff, I feel like. This is good. This is the type of stuff where I would come to IMDb Premium to check out. Number 8, it says Aquaman once fought in a samurai war. Okay. And he was actually the last one. All right. Okay. This is good. This is good intel. Number 9, when Aquaman was asked if the sky could be any flavor, what would you choose? He replied with vanilla. Interesting. Okay. I mean, a little arcane. And number 10, let's just check this out. It says Aquaman held the lead role as Maverick in the movie Top Gun. Okay. Didn't know that. So I've been informed. This is the top 10, the deep dive on Aquaman, America's most beloved superhero, which is the only kind of stuff that you get here at First Issue Club. All right, back to the regular showdown.
So let's get into who Aquaman is, where he came from. Arthur Curry, a.k.a. Aquaman, first made his appearance in November 1941.
Oh, same year Tim Curry was born.
No fucking way. Full of chuckles here at First Issue Club. He appeared in More Fun Comics.
Hilarious.
Number
by
73. That was like a slam dunk of a joke. Like people.
Oh my God! Amazing that Tim Curry would be born that year.
Everyone loves surname jokes. It's like the niche comedy realm that no one really talks about.
My brand of humor.
Yeah. So Jesus Christ, this is already just off the rails.
Just go.
Aquaman. He's appeared in many iterations of comic books, TV shows, movies. He has been in every formation of the Justice League you could possibly imagine, which I have a hot take on that. I don't think they really need Aquaman in the Justice League.
Yeah, because unless they're battling the element of water and need the element of water there, he's not very helpful.
Right.
Super strength. Right.
He does have super strength, which people don't realize because the immense pressure of the deep.
Yep.
He's like Goku. Like he's been training in the deepness and the pressurized area of the ocean that he's like super strong.
And he can only talk to animals that convert water into oxygen.
So that is disputed because for the longest time he was depicted of having like telepathic, not like communications, but like control over fish. And in the New 52, when that hit, it got switched to just like he can't control them, but he can like persuade them to do stuff. Like he can gaslight fish into doing stuff for him,
So
which is maybe a little worse.
Instead of bypassing consent, now he's just negging
He just
fish.
negs them.
I think you should really kill that guy, Rainbow Trout. I'm just saying.
If you even could.
Yeah. I mean, you're not a great white shark. You're a good white shark. You're not a great white shark.
Yeah. I've met better.
Yeah. So that's an interesting kind of retcon to one of his powers is that he now has to neg sea life into doing his bidding.
Yeah.
But he is super strong. And apparently, I guess in some iterations, he could fly.
Yeah, I remember him flying, but I never really knew if it was like, is he just on the wing of the invisible jet, or is like someone else helping him along telepathically?
I think he was imbued with some like magical power in either an article of clothing or the trident, because there is some like mythological King Arthur, Lady of the Lake stuff that goes on with his background,
Yeah.
which is like kind of cool. And that actually started from like the Peter David run.
Which I think is a nod to Atlantis.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
okay.
And so like Peter David, who is known for all of his Hulk work, he did like a 15-year run on the Hulk.
Yeah.
He revitalized Aquaman in the 80s and 90s. Like he did one of the longest runs on Aquaman, kind of made the modern Aquaman that we know today what he is.
Yeah.
Like he made Atlantis like technologically modernized. It's kind of just like a underwater Wakanda,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just like made them this almost superior powerhouse of like military technology and all that stuff. And so if you are a fan of Aquaman, which if you are, please let us know on social media, because I have yet to meet one, you need to thank Peter David for making him just who he is today.
And I think that was the hard onboarding point for us as children of the 80s, is that what was accessible to us was mostly old or back issues,
Right.
and not necessarily some of this newer, more engaging stuff that was probably for older audiences anyway. We're reading stuff that had this long dated, I guess, idea of who the character was, which was kind of in line with these other like corny 40s heroes. Like
Yeah, the Silver
Aquaman,
Age, yeah.
Aquaman fits right in with like Top Man, who is like oversimplified characterization of like another thing. Like he's shaped like a top and he spins around. This guy's like he's underwater, he has a trident, and he talks to fish. Like there's
Some white guy in an office smoking a cigar. What else do you need?
Forgive the pun, but you need more depth for a character to be engaging.
I also think that there's something for the psyche when there's a 1-to-1 in the big twos where you're like, that's a B character. So the fact that there's Namor and it's like they're the same character, and I understand the nuances of the differences. It just is like, oh, like Hawkeye and Green Arrow. Like it's like
Sure.
you just kind of think like B guy, like and stuff. And maybe I'm wrong there, but that's how I always assumed it as a kid, where I was like, oh, if the big two they were just like, we needed this filler trope character,
Sure.
water guy. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's like ever going to take the limelight.
Well, I honestly think his popularity took off when he was in the Super Friends TV show. Like that's when like the revival of the superhero kind of blasted off again, because it hit TV audiences of younger kids and they just went fucking gangbusters. And so they don't want to make Aquaman too complex for kids. So he's just like, hey, this is the guy who talks to fish.
The fact that he lasted as a mainline character for so long just befuddles me.
And like Aquaman is way more interesting when he's just in the ocean handling his own shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him fighting Darkseid or like going to fucking space. It's just like that doesn't make any sense. Like Aquaman, the ocean is 70% of our planet. Like he has way more cooler shit to fight down there.
Oh, I learned some other stuff too.
Weird
Oh.
aliens. Yeah, our body's
70%.
60% water, so
about
he
that?
could control us.
I'm
Okay.
Aquaman for the most part.
Actually, when he had his hand cut off and the Lady of the Lake gave him his like cool water hand, that hand had the power to evaporate all the water out of your body and kill you.
Whoa.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So that's pretty fucking dope.
He could dry you up. He'd dehydrate you, like
Yeah.
most humans do.
Like Shapiro's wife.
Oh, nice.
Take that, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. If you don't know, you should drink a lot of water though during the day too, because that same thing could happen to you if you don't drink.
Oh, so this is a PSA for drinking water. Please
yeah,
continue.
if you don't hydrate, yeah, you could be a sourpuss raisin.
Right. It should be said we're all drinking coffee right now, so we are dehydrated
Oh yeah,
to the max.
we're jacked.
Don't be an SPR. No sourpuss raisins here. That's one of our major taglines.
I also think that one of the things that made Aquaman so like understandably B-teamy
Mhm.
is like when the boys did The Deep. It's like all of the tropes of Aquaman.
Sure.
But like then you gave him these character flaws and he's really interesting. And
Right.
it's like, well, where was that in Aquaman?
I think they've tried to do that in like more modern comics that they've done now. Like he's definitely more brooding and kind of surly.
And lots of family shit.
Yeah, like
brother, dad stuff.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, like it is complex, his background. Like that's a no-brainer to say about any comic book character. Like if you get into the weeds of their back history, you're just going to be fucking confused all the time because everything gets retconned so often. It's just hard to keep track of what's going on. But yeah, Aquaman has had a queen, lost his queen, had a kid died, had a sidekick named Aqualad, who is now Tempest. It's just like so much has happened over his entire career. It's hard to keep track of it.
How many times did he have dreads?
Did he not? I don't think he's had dreads before.
Okay. I didn't know if he had dreads. It seemed like a thing.
Well, you know, I wouldn't be surprised in the 90s when it was okay for white people to wear dreads if he had a few locks in his hair.
Just letting it dread.
Just letting it get buck wild. All that sea salt really does stuff to your hair. Hey guys, it's Greg here to talk to you once again about Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FIC20. That's FIC20 at manscaped.com. I want you to close your eyes for a minute. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. Isn't that nice? Isn't that kind of calming? Just, you know, your own personal me time alone, maybe some nice jungle music going, and just you and your Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 razor just getting to know one another. And Manscaped has engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredible comfort. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, we hate those, and for their advanced skin-safe technology. Gotta love it. I now feel confident shaving my boys, if you will. And guys, this is not just a normal ad. I've tried this razor out. It is a game changer. I am in and out in the bathroom. I don't worry about cutting or trimming or hurting myself when I'm taking care of my business down there. So you too should have the comfort and the confidence to shave your pubic area with the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. And now with this exclusive offer from First Issue Club, us, with FIC20, you can get 20% off and free shipping. Go to manscaped.com, use the code FIC20, get 20% off, free shipping, and unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Okay, his costumes seem to go a lot of different places. Like,
But does it?
well, okay,
Because for me, it's
It's either shirt on or shirt off.
yes.
but then there's also this camo era.
Okay, so that one's interesting. That one came from the 80s, like the blue camo,
Yeah.
whatever. That
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
he had lost his memory. And so he didn't know he was
He
Aquaman.
didn't know he always wore an orange shirt.
No, he misplaced it.
Yeah.
He put some blue socks in the wash and it turned his whole outfit
am
blue.
the color of Tony the Tiger.
I am a goldfish.
But the blue suit actually makes sense because if you want to stay camouflaged
Right.
and like undetected, you wear blue. The orange and green stick out like a sore thumb in the ocean. I'm sorry, folks.
Did he? He never had a tail, a mermaid tail,
No, he never had a mermaid tail.
or web feet.
No, with my research, no, weird limbs.
No
or-
fins or anything.
Nope.
Like that. Yeah. Okay.
Not that I know, unless it was some Elseworld thing where he got spliced with
Yeah.
something.
You know what's funny about Aquaman too is that he doesn't really seem like he's ever the impetus for like large events or anything.
Events that happen with Aquaman is like either a army from the ocean attacks the land.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got to ring-a-ding-ding Aquaman and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And Aquaman's like, fuck, okay.
But he doesn't really leave lasting repercussions on the rest of the DC universe. Often is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, like because with Wally West, who Comic Book Keepers did last episode, he's fucking up everything left and right.
Flash and Superman have a huge impact on the rest of the universe. Maybe Flash might affect the continuum and retconning
ways.
more than any other character in the DC. Man, we should have gotten Flash.
No. I'm glad they did it because they did a great job on it.
Yeah,
but,
they
like,
did.
Trying to track down all those loose ends, no, thank you.
Yeah. So we're just saying in the lesson of Aquaman, not a lot of.
Which is almost kind of nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's contained. Like there's no real loose ends to like think about. It's Aquaman handling his business in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Hero guy.
Yeah, Johnny come hero.
Yeah. If you yourself know you're a mediocre guy, Aquaman might be relatable to you. Whereas Superman is,
So if you're like a B minus person in real life, you are loving Aquaman.
Yeah. Oh, I just love how Aquaman has low stakes and he's just born into his greatness.
I think he got a bad rap for being like this chucklehead of a superhero. But while doing this episode, I kind of did realize he's a lot more powerful than I could ever imagine.
Right. I think it's the Triton that gives him a bad name, to be honest.
I think the Triton is badass. It gives him a lot of power.
It's badass, but it's also like in Anchorman when they like use it as a weapon, it's a comedic point. It's like, did somebody have a Triton?
I think they're just impressed by that because they don't see tridents that often.
Yeah,
it's a mighty weapon.
It is a mighty weapon, but I mean, it's meant to disarm, like to get rid of the sword.
Sure, but this one shoots rays of energy.
There we go. Okay,
so it's different.
Yeah,
and he can also like cook with it. I think he's like a giant fork. Just if he wants to find an underwater volcano and cook some kebabs.
Aquaman is a giant grill master. I could really get behind.
That's the story I want to read.
Yeah, Aquaman
Grill Master.
Dad,
AKA Welcome to Flavortown.
Okay, speaking of, maybe we're jumping ahead here, but the Aquaman 80th anniversary comic,
which is the comic book we're covering.
Serendipitous that it came out this week.
We're going to be talking about this book maybe throughout the course of this episode here and there because it's
never was there more of an Aquaman week.
No, never.
We got super lucky, or else this episode would be ending now.
You know, it's the 80th anniversary of Aquaman, which is why we're doing this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
80
years old. Happy birthday, Aquaman.
Yeah, you are on the downward track of life.
I tried to find like if it specified when his birthday was so I could make a zodiac joke.
Oh.
But it never said it, so.
It's got to be a water-based sign.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if it wasn't, what a complete fuck up.
Aquarius, Pisces.
Yeah. Cancer. Isn't Cancer like a crab?
Cancer's a crab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely not an Aries.
What I was getting to, Aquaman does have himself a family BBQ in this 80th anniversary comic.
Oh, yeah.
And him and his little boy have faces covered in barbecue sauce in the last panel. And it is so corny. I think his thing was he was like, I want to stay in touch with my human side.
Right.
And humans do barbecues.
Is that where Aqua Beast came in?
And then Mara was like, what is this BBQ you speak of? Yes, Aqua Beast made an appearance in this.
Do you think that was like hearkening back to like his Golden Age, Silver Age book?
Yeah.
Where like it's supposed to be corny because everything was fucking corny back then?
A lot of things in this book were corny.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're paying homage to this character, it's
Cornville.
It's corny.
Like, get the butter because it's corny.
Aquaman has to be vegan.
This is kind of what I'm getting
question.
to. Because if you can talk to fish, you wouldn't want to eat them. But would you have a lack of like empathy for other living things if you could communicate with some?
Sure. Because they eat chicken.
They eat chicken at this barbecue, I think.
Right. Which was really weird.
Yeah. I say, fuck off, Aquaman. Eating chicken, but you
we
got to protect every little fish.
We eat meat because I can't talk to my pig.
Yeah.
Well, I don't eat meat.
Oh, sorry. I eat meat because I can't talk to my pigs.
Right.
If I could, if they were all babes, then I would not.
Well, you do have some good-looking pigs.
Yeah. I would never, nay a ham touch this little tongue.
I did love that story though, because like, if you just like lean into the campiness, sometimes, not all the time, because if it's all time campy, then it's not fun to read. But like, it's funny that like in the golden and silver age of comics, like to be a villain, you have to be a slight variation of the hero.
Oh, like Black Manta.
Yeah, like Black Manta or like big, strong ass Aquaman.
Yeah, larger sized Aquaman.
Aqua Beast, like that's the bad guy. Or like when Star Trek added goatees to like the evil versions of things, it's just like, yes, that's perfect. Like make them just slightly different, and that's how you make them evil.
I think orcs are even like reformed elves in Lord of the Rings.
Is it? Are they really?
Yeah, it's a great call. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how you make a fun villain. Maybe not a lasting villain, but a fun like
Bizarro.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
just tweak it enough, and like you'll have a good fucking time.
One thing I did enjoy about this 80th anniversary book is that it peppered in some like, here's a splash page of a character, and this was their first appearance and the year they were introduced, yada yada yada. I was like, I kind of wanted more of that from this book. Like, if we could have gotten more of an homage to the history than just like a loose peppering of corny stories that are just like, hooray! Like, here's the most surface level moral I could give you in the form of a 5-page Aquaman story.
Okay, and so while doing research for this whole episode, I obviously tried to find every article I could and every Wikipedia, whatever, and I kept finding and running across articles that said 10 reasons why Aquaman is badass.
Oh, yeah,
You
because they need to justify it.
Fucking yes. And my thinking was, I never have ever seen an article that says 10 reasons why Batman's badass
couldn't
or
agree
why
more.
Wonder Woman's badass. You just fucking know. It's because they exude badassness. And like you need an article to explain why Aquaman is badass, like already on shifty ground.
Yes, I agree.
And one of them was, and like the reasons that they gave were like, he's super strong. That's not a reason he's badass. Every member of the Justice League is super strong. That's not a reason to put it in there. One of them was just like, he threw a bear once. How was that a reason?
One of these sites that has his like bio information listed out says that Aquaman is 6'1" and weighs 330 pounds. Does that sound right to you?
His
No.
bones are denser.
Pretty sure that would be
squattiest guy.
that would be like morbidly obese.
Well, think about it. If you're
That's how much
all
muscle he has
that's
on him.
muscle mass. He's in the deep, in the pressurized
Nobody
deep.
with muscle at 6 foot is getting over 200, 250 pounds.
Maybe that trident's
wide
like
man.
super heavy. He's like just super wide. He's like a walking brick wall.
Okay, this is something interesting. So for his powers and abilities, we've got enhanced underwater breathing. And the description says that he can hold his breath for long periods of time.
So he's
holding his breath underwater.
Well, I think it's been retconned too.
He's not amphibious.
He doesn't have gills.
Okay.
But
That's the thing. He's part human, so he doesn't have gills. Yeah.
I think in the underwater world of the like Atlantean city,
It's a bubble.
It is a bubble. But maybe he is like holding his breath for a long time.
Okay.
But when he can't be on land for long periods of time either, or else like his power drains from
Yeah, he
him.
needs a pool nearby.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why he just needs to stay in the water.
Oh, that would be so odd. It's like you have
He
him,
just like starts flopping around like a fish.
you have him over for a beer in the backyard, and by like hour 1.5, you have to fill up the kiddie pool and be like, "Hey, Arthur, I get it."
Go
like,
for a splash.
Yeah, it's like he has to breastfeed.
I wonder if there's ever been a storyline where like he's handcuffed to a pipe in the middle of the desert, and like that's how the villain is like trying to kill him. Like you can't get near water.
So dry.
He just gets dried up.
Reason he's badass number 2, enhanced sight.
Oh yeah,
That's
eating
one
those
of his
carrots.
powers.
He's got night vision. Roll that D20.
Yeah, he's got night vision. He can see to 6,000 fathoms. That's 36,000 feet, y'all.
I cannot fathom that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we got Mr. Aquaman. I think
Has your mind changed since
since diving into Aquaman,
about him?
No, we just talked about how lame he is for like a half an hour.
I think he's lame, but I'm a little bit like, okay, he's existed for 80 years. I bet there's like some cool family shit. Does he ever? Isn't there artwork where he's riding a seahorse?
All over the place.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
He saddles up a big seahorse.
Yeah,
and rides it.
It's. I think that's the common image that people get in their minds when they hear Aquaman. It's
Okay.
either that or a shirtless Jason Momoa.
Okay. I prefer saddling up a seahorse, of which I believe can only like swim vertically.
That's why he's always late.
They like bob.
Not this seahorse because he negged him into swimming straight.
So should we talk about his family at all?
That is, I was gonna say that's the interesting part to
Yeah.
me about Aquaman is the
family
Atlantean
man.
history. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a family man.
Yeah.
If anything, he's a family
The
man.
the more it leans into the mythology of like Atlantean stuff, the better Aquaman stories are.
Just like Thor, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
for sure, yeah.
How did Aquaman's father find an Atlantean to mate and have Aquaman with?
I guess it's whatever iteration of the book you get. I mean, I think strolling along the beach, you fall
Was he-
in love.
Was he like a treasure hunter of sorts and found Atlantis and then merged the worlds?
I think he was like
I'm
a
hunting for a very particular type of treasure, baby.
For you to be pregnant.
that's the treasure.
I love the lack of subtlety you bring to all of our podcasts.
I think he was. I think the common thread is that he worked in a lighthouse or like
Yeah,
was the lighthouse keeper,
that sounds right.
and then Aquaman's mother came on shore
Mhm.
for like vacation or something, and was just like,
Yeah, and she's
"Hey,
like,
baby,
"What's that large phallic symbol in
Yeah.
the distance?"
There's a light on top of that phallic symbol. I'm going to fuck the sorcerer inside of it." And that was Thomas, and then the rest is what we call history.
Also, Aquaman's probably the Justice League member most concerned with climate change,
Yeah, and has done little to nothing about it.
much like the rest of us.
Yeah, there's still plastic straws
Doesn't own a
in the
Nissan
ocean.
Leaf.
No, he doesn't have a, biodegradable silverware.
Maybe he gets the most bent out of shape about it.
For sure, because it's just raining down on his kingdom.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely like he's picking up trash in his own yard, sort of thing, and that's where it stops.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's not taking down smokestacks or fracking in the middle of Texas.
Much like Batman, where if instead of beating up bank robbers at night, he, funded a $1 billion school to fix Gotham. If Aquaman would,
God damn it, that is brilliant.
right?
Because Batman would be out of a job if there's no criminals.
Yes,
So why would he want to fund a school to help the community?
because he's a typical
He's a selfish playboy.
Yeah, kind of like don't tread on me independent guy who's just like I can solve it with my own
Right.
brute. Aquaman could, be advocating very realistically for how climate change is affecting his world, but instead he just talks to dolphins.
Do you think that's why comic books have like shifted towards like more mythical and like outer space problems? Because the reader's just like, you don't need to fight all these people if you just like do this, and this.
Gave him money and homes.
Right, you know what I mean? And then like then the comic books are over, so they're just like, this alien race has come to Earth now. Like now we have to fight them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's such a fun take.
well, they're like so much so they take on like oversimplified moral quandaries, and it's like, could this be one of those oversimplified moral quandaries that
Right.
gets worked into comic books more often?
Like fear.
But at the same time, it's like
Or fear itself. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a little bit escapist, right? Like, I don't know that I want to read about.
Logical problem solving in your comic.
Right.
Investing into cryptocurrency to
Yeah. Like, oh man, that would have made a great Batman 3. Is it? He opened a school.
Although I would love to see an issue of Aquaman just taking down whaling boats. That'd be kind of fun.
yeah,
Sure. I mean, that's
whale wars with Aquaman.
Just beheading them.
that's a kind of a common theme in the comics where ships come in doing dumb ship stuff, and he's like, "I'll get the oiler
Tut, tut,
rig
tut.
out of here."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think Aquaman would make a superior villain than a hero?
I think that's why Marvel landed where they did with Namor, however you want to say it.
Is he more of an anti-hero or
Yeah,
yeah?
definitely.
He's always trying to fight Black Panther.
So
Huge Black Panther villain. He's like his arch nemesis.
Rumor is he's going to be in the second movie.
Oh, really? I wouldn't doubt it.
Yep.
He also maybe likes low-waist pants more than any other character in DC.
Well, when you got the V section of your abdomen,
He
you want to
honestly,
show that shit off.
he would
Yeah.
be behooved by a belt.
He does have a belt with an A logo on it. That's
Right.
another thing with some of these DC characters and their antiquated costumes. It's like
Their branding.
you still have an A on your belt for Aquaman
So he doesn't forget.
Arthur, it's for Arthur.
and Arthur. Wow, it works on 2 levels.
Holy shit,
I
guys.
I didn't realize that.
Busted this wide open.
So much symbology.
Whose belt is that? Oh, it's Arthur's.
Oh, it's a giant A. It's Arthur's.
It's the same thing with Apocalypse and X-Men. It's like, get that fucking A belt off of him. That looks so stupid.
I think out of all the Justice League members, Aquaman has benefited the most from retcons. Meaning, in the beginning, he was just guy in green pants who could talk to fish.
Yeah.
we need a water guy.
But now he is super strong. He can fly. He has the ability to talk to the deep and these mystical beings that live there. Obviously his character development has improved more than say Batman. Batman's story has stayed pretty linear the entire time.
Yeah.
Superman's story has stayed pretty linear the whole time. Aquaman's has definitely benefited from retcons and different creators coming in and being like, I can make this a little more complex and enriching.
I think one of the interesting things, or maybe problems with Aquaman, is it's the same Black Panther problem. You can take the story into Atlantis and have a bunch of Atlantis things happening and all that kind of stuff, or you can take it into greater world problems. And so this
Yeah,
thing with Black,
totally.
yeah,
You spread them too thin.
right, Black Panther is very interesting when you stick in just Wakanda.
Yeah.
It's totally fine to do that.
Sure.
But you have to figure out how much do you merge the worlds together and when.
Yeah. And I think that it works when you introduce Aquaman into cities and stuff when he's hunting down a villain from the ocean that has gone rogue. That's the only time really Aquaman should be on land because it doesn't benefit him to help the Justice League. Yep. All right, and that was our little deep dive into Aquaman for the Unite the Seven event that has brought together 7 of the podcasts of comic books from across the country. If you want to listen to the Flash Wally West one, the Comic Book Keepers did that last week. Go find them over on your podcast app. Next week, you have the Oblivion Bar pod coming out September 15th doing their Superman episode. That one is no less going to be 8 hours long.
Adios mio.
And then after that, you have the Effing Nerds with Green Arrow on September 23rd. Martian Manhunter is getting done by the Comic Book Couple Counseling September 29th. The Short Box on October 6th is doing Green Lantern. And then last is the Wednesday Pull List on October 13th doing Batman. Holy fuck. Can you imagine doing a Batman episode?
No.
Just the amount of people being pissed off about getting any detail wrong is nerve-wracking.
Right.
You might as well be writing everybody's personal genealogy
Yeah.
at that point. So
Anyway,
Aquaman, low stakes.
yeah, it was
know.
fun. I honestly respect him more now than I did previously the episode.
If you're gonna get into Aquaman, now's the time. 80 years into his creation, you could get a 100-page book and dive into all the relevant stories this week.
And you got a bunch of new books coming out in Aquaman.
The Becoming, I believe, or something like that. And
Black
then
Manta's getting one.
getting his own little book there, so there's some good jumping on points there. So Aquaman is really the winner. I mean, it's not a competition, obviously, but it's probably the winner, the best pick of all
Right.
of these.
Yeah, it's his season.
Yeah.
He's definitely in bloom right now. So thanks for listening. We are the First Issue Club podcast. Tune in next week where we talk about first issues and not Aquaman ever again. Until next time, bye.
First Issue Club is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company via Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Our music is courtesy of the fine folks at Primary Color Music. You can find, friend, and follow us on social media at First Issue Club or firstissueclub.com. You can support First Issue Club by joining us on our Patreon for additional content at patreon.com/firstissueclub.